He was the boy who waited 10 years for her return, even though she never promised she'd come back. And if Maya had known that one whispered summer goodbye would carve itself into his heart for a decade, she might never have walked away. But she didn't know. She didn't know anything back then, not about herself, not about love, and definitely not about the boy who watched her like she was the only thing that ever made sense. This is where the story really begins, not with her return, not with the reunion people dream about, but with the moment she left him standing in the warm dusk of their small town, holding everything he never said. Because the truth is, Ethan didn't fall for her suddenly. He didn't wake up one morning and decide she was the girl he wanted. No. His love was quieter. Older. The kind that grows slowly, patiently, like roots beneath the ground, until one day, you realize it's the strongest part of you. But Maya? She was 16, fragile in ways she tried to hide, brave in ways she didn't understand. She carried her insecurities like invisible bruises. Too shy. Too soft. Too unsure. And Ethan, her best friend's quiet older brother, was the only person who ever truly saw her. He saw the way she kept her voice low so no one would think she was trying too hard. He saw the way she smiled politely even when she was hurting. And he saw the way she looked at life, like she was always waiting for something to go wrong. But that summer, everything changed. It was the kind of summer that made their small town feel brighter than usual. The air was thick with the smell of fresh-cut grass. The evenings glowed in soft honey-colored light. And for the first time in a long time, Maya felt like she belonged somewhere. Most nights, she sat on the front porch steps of Lily's house, her best friend's laughter drifting from upstairs, while Ethan worked on his old truck in the driveway. The porch light was always dim, flickering slightly, casting a soft glow on her bare knees as she hugged them to her chest. The air carried the scent of warm summer dirt and distant barbecue smoke drifting from somewhere down the street. That little town had a way of making everything feel slower, softer, almost safe. Ethan's truck sat under the broad oak tree that shaded half the driveway. The hood was usually propped open, and he was always half hidden beneath it, one knee on the ground, grease staining his hands, brow furrowed in quiet focus. The sound of his tools clicking softly, metal meeting metal, was oddly comforting, grounding in a way she didn't fully understand back then. Every scrape, every turn of a wrench felt familiar, steady. Predictable. A reminder that someone steady was always nearby. Some nights, she watched him without meaning to. Her eyes drifting toward him whenever the silence in her own head grew too loud. He never looked her way immediately. He always seemed to give her space first, letting her settle, letting her breathe. But eventually, every evening, without fail, he'd glance over his shoulder, not with curiosity but with something far gentler, like he just wanted to make sure she was still okay. And every time, she felt that embarrassing flutter in her chest. But one evening, things were different. She came outside with tear-stained eyes, trying desperately to pretend she wasn't falling apart. The porch door creaked behind her as she stepped into the pale, golden dusk. She sat quickly, almost too quickly, wiping her cheeks with the back of her hand as if she could erase the evidence before he noticed. But Ethan noticed instantly. He always did. He froze mid-movement, wrench still in his hand, before slowly lowering it to the pavement beside him. That stillness was his tell. Other people might overlook such a tiny shift, but Maya saw it every time. Ethan didn't gasp, didn't jolt, didn't demand to know what happened. He just paused, in that quiet, intentional way that meant her pain had reached him. His eyes moved to her, studying her the way he studied engines, patiently, carefully, like he was trying to understand the problem before reaching for the right tools. Maya kept her gaze low, pretending to trace the cracks in the driveway with her toe. Her heartbeat thudded painfully loud in her chest. She hoped the dim light hid the redness around her eyes, but deep down she knew it didn't. Ethan wiped his hands on an old rag, tossing it aside before standing up slowly. For a moment, she thought he might walk toward her, ask her what was wrong, offer some comforting words she wasn't sure she deserved. But he didn't. He didn't ask what was wrong. He didn't push her to explain. He didn't overwhelm her with questions she wasn't ready to answer. He simply walked over at his own unhurried pace and sat beside her. Not too close. Ethan never invaded her space. He left just enough distance to be respectful, but close enough for her to feel the warmth of him, his presence, his calm, that quiet, steady heartbeat she could almost hear if she leaned just a little closer. He rested his elbows on his knees, hands clasped loosely, and he didn't even look at her at first. He let her exist. Let her breathe. Let her pretend she wasn't breaking inside. And that, sometimes, that meant more than any question ever could. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The night air buzzed softly with cicadas, and somewhere down the block, a dog barked twice before falling silent again. The world seemed to slow down around them, shrinking until all that remained was the faint glow of the porch light, the soft hum of summer, and him, sitting there like an anchor. Maya's breath trembled as she exhaled, the weight in her chest pressing harder, as if begging to be released. She swallowed, staring at her hands, twisting her fingers anxiously in her lap. A part of her hoped he wouldn't notice the way her shoulders shook slightly. Another part hoped he would. Ethan shifted just a little, his knee brushing lightly against hers, so gentle, so accidental, yet somehow exactly what she needed. That tiny contact sent something warm through her, loosening something that had been tight inside her all day. He didn't turn to her, not yet. He just spoke in that low, calm voice that always seemed to settle her storms. "You don't have to pretend with me." It wasn't a question. It wasn't even a request. It was simply the truth, spoken quietly into the fading light. His words hung between them like a soft blanket, wrapping around her trembling heart. Her eyes burned again, fresh tears rising, and she fought them. God, she tried, but the more she held them back, the harder they pushed forward. Ethan finally turned his head, his expression soft but serious, eyes filled with a kind of patience she wasn't used to receiving from anyone. He wasn't trying to fix her. He wasn't trying to save her. He wasn't trying to make her talk. He was just there. Steady. Warm. Close enough to feel, but far enough to give her room to breathe. And in that quiet space between them, something unspoken stirred, something she wasn't ready to name. Not yet. But it was there, pulsing gently in the air, waiting. It was in that moment, under the quiet hum of streetlights, with fireflies floating lazily around them, that he finally spoke. The night air was soft, warm against Maya's cheeks, carrying the faint smell of blooming jasmine from the neighbor's yard. The world felt small and gentle, wrapped in a kind of stillness she hadn't felt in ages. The porch creaked slightly beneath their weight, and somewhere far off, the low rumble of a passing car drifted through the evening. Ethan didn't look at her right away. He didn't need to. His voice cut through the silence with a tenderness so careful it almost didn't sound real. "You don't have to pretend with me," he murmured. 6 words. Soft. Simple. But to Maya, they felt like a door she had been terrified to open. And Maya hated the way her heart sparked at his voice. It was the kind of spark that wasn't loud or explosive, no fireworks, no dramatic rush, just a quiet, steady warmth that unfurled in her chest like something waking up inside her. Something she had tried so hard not to feel. She hated the way her breath hitched. The way her shoulders softened. The way she instinctively leaned, just a fraction, toward the familiar comfort of him. She hated how safe she felt. How being beside him made everything else feel smaller, less frightening. How the ache in her chest eased just because he was near. She hated how seen she felt. As if he could take one look at her, see right through the flimsy mask she pieced together, and know exactly where she was hurting. No one else ever noticed her the way he did, not even the people she begged silently to see her. She hated how understood she felt. Because Ethan wasn't the kind of person who tried to explain her feelings back to her. He didn't hand out advice like bandages. He didn't try to fix what he didn't fully know. He just existed with her in the silence. Present. Patient. Steady in a way she didn't know she needed until that very moment. It scared her. It thrilled her. It tugged at something deep inside her that she had tried to bury under school stress, family pressure, and the expectation of being the quiet, sensible friend. She knew it was wrong. Every bit of it. He was her best friend's brother. Lily had trusted her with everything: secrets, sleepovers, heartbreaks, things only girls whispered to each other in the dark. And if Lily ever knew that Maya's pulse drummed harder whenever Ethan walked into a room, everything would shatter. He wasn't just the older brother, either. He was her protector. The person who always stepped between her and trouble, even when trouble was only in her head. He was her comfort. The safe place she didn't understand yet, the warmth she pretended was nothing more than casual familiarity. He was her impossible temptation. A quiet danger. A forbidden ache in her chest that never fully went away. And yet, that night, something inside her finally cracked open. For the first time, she let herself wonder, not out loud, not boldly, just quietly, secretly, what it would feel like if he ever held her the way he looked at her sometimes. Like she was something precious. Something breakable but worth protecting. Something he wanted but didn't dare to reach for. She imagined his arms around her, steady and warm. She imagined the way his breath might brush her ear if he whispered her name. She imagined leaning into his chest, the slow, reassuring rhythm of his heartbeat echoing through her skin. It wasn't a fantasy she allowed herself to explore often. Usually, she shut it down, shoved it deep into the quietest corners of her mind. But not that night. That night, under the soft glow of fireflies and the gentle hum of the town settling into sleep, the idea slipped past her defenses and warmed her from the inside out. She didn't push it away. She didn't run from it. She didn't scold herself for being foolish. She just felt it. Fully. Quietly. Dangerously. Neither of them knew it yet. But that was the night Ethan began waiting, long before she ever walked away. Because sometimes love doesn't start with a confession. Or a kiss. Or a moment of clarity. Sometimes it starts with a single look. A quiet breath. A shared silence under the same soft night. Sometimes it starts when a boy sees a girl's tears before she can hide them. And chooses to stay anyway. And that night, without meaning to, without planning to, without even understanding the magnitude of it, Ethan chose her. He chose her long before she ever knew she had the power to break his heart. Maya never forgot the first time she realized something in her chest changed around him. It didn't hit her all at once. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It was quiet, so quiet she almost missed it completely. But years later, she could still point to the exact second her heart shifted, the exact breath where everything started to feel different. It happened on a warm evening in their tiny town, the kind of evening that smelled like sun-soaked pavement and fresh grass. The soft hum of streetlights floated lazily through the air, blending with the chorus of crickets hidden in the trees. Even the sky felt heavier somehow, holding on to the last traces of sunset like it didn't want the day to end. She had been sitting on the front porch steps of Lily's house, the wooden boards warm beneath her legs. Her knees were pulled tight to her chest, her chin resting against them as she tried to keep her breathing steady. Her eyes stung from holding back tears. She had gotten into another argument with her parents, one of those quiet, suffocating ones where they didn't raise their voices, but their disappointment wrapped around her like a rope she couldn't break free from. Maya hated those arguments. They made her feel small. Invisible. Wrong in ways she could never put into words. She ran outside the moment she could, slipping through the porch door so quietly it barely made a sound. She hoped Lily wouldn't notice her red eyes. She hoped Ethan wouldn't come out. Most of all, she hoped the night air would swallow her sadness before anyone saw it. But fate never worked the way she hoped. Ethan had stepped outside just moments later, wiping grease off his hands with an old faded cloth. He must have been working on his truck again, he almost always was. That old thing was his pride, his escape, his constant project. Maya had learned to recognize the smell of engine oil, the scrape of a wrench, the low grunt he made when something didn't loosen easily. Those sounds should have been ordinary, but somehow, around him, nothing ever felt ordinary. He paused in the doorway when he saw her. His eyes landed on her for only a second, but it was enough. Ethan didn't need long to see through her. He had always been the kind of person who read emotions like weather, quietly, instinctively, without asking too many questions. He didn't say much. He never did. And weirdly, she liked that about him. He didn't crowd her with concern. He didn't ask what happened. He didn't try to fix anything. He simply walked over and sat beside her on the steps, the wood creaking under his weight. He left a small space between them, just enough that she could breathe, but close enough that she could feel the heat of him, warm, steady, grounding. His presence alone loosened the tight knot in her chest. She hated that it did. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The night seemed to hold its breath with them. A soft breeze rustled the leaves of the big oak tree in the yard. A porch light flickered once, casting a halo around them before settling again. Maya kept her face hidden, pretending to study the chipped paint on her fingernails. She could feel tears pressing behind her eyes, stubborn and heavy. She tried to blink them away, but her vision blurred anyway. She prayed he wouldn't notice, even though she knew he already had. Ethan leaned forward slightly, resting his forearms on his knees. His hands, still streaked with grease, dangled loosely. He wasn't looking at her anymore. He stared out at the quiet street like he was giving her the dignity of not being watched while she broke down. It was such a small kindness, but it shattered her. Then he whispered, almost like a secret carried on the breeze, "You don't always have to be strong around everyone, you know." His voice wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was soft, rough around the edges, dipped in honesty. And those simple words hit her harder than anything anyone had said in years. Her breath caught. Her throat tightened. Her eyes finally overflowed. She hated that he heard her sniffle. She hated that he could see her wipe her cheeks. She hated that she couldn't hide from him the way she hid from everyone else. But most of all, Maya hated the way those words slipped straight into her heart, settling there like they belonged. Because no one had ever told her that before. Not her parents. Not her teachers. Not even Lily. Ethan's voice wrapped around her like a soft blanket, pulling her into a strange, unsafe comfort she didn't know she was allowed to feel. She didn't reply. She couldn't. The moment felt too tender, too intimate, too close to something she wasn't ready to admit. But as they sat there in silence, her shoulders shaking quietly, his presence steady as ever, she felt a shift inside her. Tiny. Almost invisible. But real. A change she would carry with her for years. And Maya hated the way her heart leaped. She hated how much she loved the sound of his voice saying her name. She hated that her best friend, Lily, was just upstairs, and if she ever found out Maya was feeling anything for her brother, everything would crumble. From that day, the spark refused to die. It lived in stolen glances across the dinner table. In the way Ethan always walked her halfway home. In the way jealousy clawed at him whenever he saw other boys circle her. He never said it, but she felt it, the silent, forbidden pull between them. But Ethan was 20. She was 16. And Lily trusted them both. So nothing happened. Not when he brushed a strand of her hair behind her ear on her birthday. Not when she accidentally fell asleep on his shoulder during a movie night. Not when, one night, she whispered, "Where will you be in 10 years?" He had swallowed hard, eyes lingering on her lips before he forced himself to look away. It was barely a second, half a heartbeat, but it was enough for her to feel something inside her twist and heat and bloom. Ethan never looked at her like that. Or maybe he always had, quietly, in all the little ways she never let herself notice. "Right here," he murmured, voice low and rough, the kind of sound that settled straight into her bones. He tapped his chest, then let his hand fall like he was afraid of saying too much, of crossing a line they both pretended didn't exist. His gaze held hers for a moment longer, soft but weighted, like he was offering something he didn't have the right to give. But the universe had other plans. The complication came fast, too fast, like life didn't trust them with what they were slowly discovering. Maya's father got a job offer in the city, the kind of opportunity families prayed for, and within 2 weeks, everything she thought she had time to figure out disappeared in a blur of cardboard boxes and rushed conversations. She tried to act fine, tried to pretend the news didn't hollow her out, but every night she found herself sitting on the same porch steps, staring at the same spot Ethan would stand, wishing the world would slow down, just enough for them to understand what they were becoming. Ethan didn't say much the week before she left. He was quieter than usual, more careful with his words, his actions, his distance. Sometimes he'd start to say something, then stop, jaw tight like he was fighting himself. She didn't know whether he was holding back for her sake or for his own, but she felt the heaviness in every silence they shared. The morning she left was colder than it should have been for summer, strange, sharp, as if the weather knew something was ending. Maya stood by the open car door, heart racing, palms sweating, trying to steady her breathing. Her mother was shouting instructions, her father loading the last bag into the trunk, her best friend Lily crying against the hood of the car. But all Maya could see was Ethan. He stood at the edge of the driveway, fists shoved deep in his pockets, shoulders squared like he was bracing himself against something he couldn't fix. His jaw was tight, his eyes unreadable, and for a moment she let herself imagine him crossing the distance between them, just walking over, taking her hand, telling her not to go. Telling her to stay. Telling her what he almost said that night on the porch. She had wanted him to stop her. She had wanted him to fight for her in the smallest, most impossible ways. She had wanted him to say the words they both held back, the words hovering in the air between them like unspoken promises. But all he said was, "Take care of yourself, okay?" Simple. Soft. Safe. The kind of goodbye that didn't break rules or hearts, at least not openly. She swallowed the ache rising in her throat, nodded once, and then did the one thing she regretted for years: she didn't look back. She couldn't. She knew that if she met his eyes one more time, she would fall apart in front of everyone. So she slid into the car, stared straight ahead, and let the door close her into a future she hadn't chosen. As the car pulled away, she felt the ground shift beneath her, as though some part of her was being left behind on that quiet street, beside a boy who never asked her to stay but still made her wish she could. Life in the city was noise, constant, overwhelming noise. Pressure that pressed into her ribs. Loneliness that settled in her chest. She tried to forget him. She forced herself not to reach for her phone late at night. She dated other people, hoping to dull the echo of him. She filled her days with routines and responsibilities, trying to convince herself she wasn't carrying the weight of a goodbye that had never felt finished. But no matter how hard she tried, Ethan's voice lingered in the back of her mind. "Take care of yourself, okay?" And every time she heard it, she wondered what he didn't say. What he couldn't say. What she hadn't been brave enough to ask for. But every time a boy leaned in close, she found herself whispering in her mind, "He doesn't look at me the way Ethan did." Meanwhile, back home, Ethan changed. It wasn't sudden, not the kind of shift anyone noticed overnight. It happened slowly, in quiet months that turned into quiet years. He stopped smiling as much, not in a dramatic, tragic way, but in a subtle softening, like someone had turned down the brightness switch inside him. The easy grin he used to wear while working on his old truck faded into something more reserved, almost cautious, like he was saving his happiness for moments that never came. He worked long hours, longer than he needed to. People in town said he was dedicated, a hard worker, the kind of man who showed up early and stayed late because that's who he was. But Lily knew better. She saw the exhaustion in his shoulders, the way he kept himself busy to avoid thinking too much. She saw how his hands were always occupied, fixing something, cleaning something, building something, anything to keep from remembering what he'd lost without ever having the right to claim it. And he dated no one. Not for a lack of opportunity. Girls noticed him. Women, too. The quiet ones. The bold ones. The ones who brought him coffee at the garage just to see him smile. But he never took interest. Never offered more than polite conversation. Never let anyone get close enough to ask why. Lily once told Maya in a phone call, one of those late-night conversations that stretched between cities and memories, "Sometimes I feel like he's waiting for something, or someone." Her voice had sounded hesitant, like she wasn't sure she wanted to admit it out loud. Like he's holding a door open that nobody walks through. Maya didn't know how to respond. Her throat tightened. Her chest ached. But she said nothing. She didn't let herself wonder whether Ethan still thought of her. Whether he still remembered that night. Whether he still felt the weight of what almost happened. And she never returned. Not for holidays. Not for weddings. Not even once. Every time an opportunity came, she found a reason: work, distance, timing, anything to avoid facing the thing she had buried so deep she pretended it wasn't there. Years layered over her memories like dust, but none of it erased the unfinished sentence between them. And then, 10 years later, she finally did. The moment she crossed the "Welcome to Willow Creek" sign, her breath caught. The town looked frozen in time, untouched by the world she had forced herself to grow up in. The same bakery with the chipped blue door. The same quiet streets lined with oak trees she used to bike under. The same porch steps where she'd once sat with her heart in her throat, wondering what Ethan felt but never daring to ask. The cracked pavement in front of Lily's house was still there, too, the place she used to trace with her toe while Ethan leaned against his truck, watching her with that steady, unreadable expression that made everything inside her feel too loud. Coming home felt like stepping into a memory she wasn't ready for. But Ethan, he wasn't frozen in time. He wasn't the same boy she had left standing in that driveway a decade ago. The changes in him were undeniable, carved into every line of his body. Broad shoulders, wider now, the kind that spoke of years of physical work and burdens carried alone. Tired eyes, still the same warm brown, but shadowed with something heavier, something worn. A quiet, grown man sadness rested in his expression, the kind that didn't come from one moment, but from 10 years of holding on to something without knowing whether he should let go. He looked like someone who had learned how to live without the thing he once hoped for, but never fully stopped feeling its absence. And when Maya saw him standing there, older, stronger, quieter, her pulse stuttered, and she felt the past rise up in her chest like it had only been yesterday. He opened the door when she knocked, and the moment he saw her, his breath caught. "Maya," he whispered, like he wasn't convinced she was real. Her voice shook. "Ethan, hi." She intended to stay 2 days. Just 2. But seeing him stirred everything she buried. Every heartbeat, every memory. And when he offered to show her the lake they used to walk to, she said yes without thinking. They walked under the golden afternoon sun, silent at first. Then he said softly, "You left so fast." She swallowed. "I thought I had to. And you never came back." "I was scared." "Of me?" he asked, his voice low. "Of how much I felt." He stopped walking. The wind brushed between them. His eyes searched her face. "You think I didn't feel it too?" Her heart twisted. This was the deepening, 10 years late, but stronger than ever. Each day she stayed, the tension grew. The way he leaned against the counter when she talked. The way his laugh warmed the room. The way he still walked her home, even though she was a grown woman now. But the twist came the night Lily found a message on Maya's phone. A message Maya had typed but never sent. "I think I'm falling for your brother, again." Lily stormed into the living room, eyes blazing. "Are you serious? After everything? After disappearing for a decade?" Maya's voice cracked. "Lily, I didn't plan this." "And Ethan," Lily snapped, turning toward him. "You promised. You said you were done waiting." Maya froze. "Waiting?" she whispered. Ethan looked shattered. Lily. No, Lily cut in. Tell her. Tell her how pathetic it's been. 10 years, Ethan. 10 years of you hoping she'd come back. He looked away, jaw tight, eyes bright with hurt. It wasn't pathetic, he whispered. It was just her. But Maya couldn't take it. Guilt slammed into her. She wasn't worth that kind of devotion. She didn't deserve him. And so came the breakdown. She packed her bag, booked a ride, left a letter on the kitchen table, and slipped out while the house slept. Only Ethan woke up. He caught her at the bus stop, breathless, voice cracking. Maya, please. Don't run again. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm only hurting everyone. You're hurting me by leaving, he said, stepping closer. You think I waited 10 years just to watch you disappear again? Her voice trembled. Why me, Ethan? He cupped her face gently, his hands warm and shaking. Because I never stopped loving you. Not for one day. And everything inside her broke open. This was the healing she never allowed herself. The truth she kept buried. They held each other on that quiet street, the town asleep, the lamplight soft around them. Two people who spent a decade apart, still finding their way back to each other. The final decision came slowly, gently, honestly. Maya didn't take the bus. She didn't run. She stayed. And 10 years of longing finally found its ending, not perfect, not easy, but real. Some nights, she still asked him softly, why did you wait so long? And Ethan always answered the same way, pulling her closer, slowly, gently, like he still couldn't quite believe she was real again. Because I knew you'd come home when you were ready. He said it every time she asked, and every time, his voice carried that same quiet certainty. No bitterness. No blame. Just a steady truth spoken by a man who had learned patience the hard way. His arms around her felt like a promise he'd kept long before she ever knew she wanted him to. For years, Maya thought she had been the one running. The one changing. The one trying to stitch herself back together in a world too big and too loud. But in that moment, wrapped against his chest, she realized something else. Ethan had been her home before she even knew she needed one. The boy who waited 10 years for her return. Finally got the girl who never truly stopped loving him. It wasn't dramatic, not the way movies made it seem. It wasn't a grand speech or a perfectly timed confession. It was quieter. Softer. Built over a decade of memories that refused to fade. It was the way his thumb brushed the side of her hand, as if relearning the shape of her. The way she leaned into him instinctively, like her body remembered something her mind had tried to forget. The way the air around them felt familiar, warm, steady, safe. Their story didn't end with fireworks. It ended with a breath. A heartbeat. A homecoming. And now, as her voice fades and the story closes, soft, lingering, like the last line of a letter she never meant to send, there's one question left hanging in the air. A question that feels bigger than the two of them, reaching straight into the chest of everyone listening. What would you have done? If someone waited 10 years for you? Would you have walked back into their arms without hesitation? Would you have questioned it, doubted it, pushed it away? Or would you have stood there, heart trembling, breath uneven, finally realizing that some people don't just wait? They choose you, every day, even in your absence? Because love like that isn't loud. It isn't perfect. It isn't easy. But it is rare. And if someone waited 10 years for you, what would you do with a love that loyal? What would you choose? And more importantly, who would you become?